Hello and welcome. I am Dogbert, bringing back the character spotlight today, and we're putting it on the character who was actually the last character released before the game shut down, but now is the first character brought back in what we can call a banner pull, with how you get him right now as the time of this recording. He'll eventually be in the regular recruit pool. But his name is Green Lantern John Stewart, giving us 3 Green Lanterns already in the game: Hal Jordan and Jessica, the other one. But we're going to talk about this guy. He was, like I said, the last character released. He is a tank, and honestly, he's not the greatest tank. We know who the better tanks are. The best ones probably being Nightwing and Lex Luthor at the very high end game type thing. You also have Bane, Penguin, who are quite good as well. So right there, I just named 4 other tanks who are better than him. And I haven't really even looked at Vixen or anybody else yet. To see who else is pretty good. But let's talk about John Stewart. And he's not the greatest, but he's also not the worst. I've actually found a use for him, and I'll talk about that as we go through his kit. Let's start off with his passive. During the battle, he increases his max HP by 10%. When he's attacked, he has a chance of gaining weakness insight, which is a little buff that looks like him. You'll see it on his head. It looks like him. There it is, actually. And what that does at the base level increases by 2%, reduces damage. So essentially, it's a damage reduction by 2%. You can have up to 10 stacks of this, or 20% damage reduction. He is actually quite tanky thanks to this and some of his other skills. I have it up to skill level 2. I have him at 1 red star right now. What this does, basic rate increases to 60%. Essentially, it's speeding up his basic. And damage reduction weakness insight increases to 3%, or would make you a max of 30% now. And the other thing that gets really nice once you get him up to rank 8, if you actually put that much into him, which I normally wouldn't suggest, but if you happen to get a bunch of dupes of him and get the shards of him for free, hey, why not? The first time he gets weakness insight to 10, a free ultimate, which can be handy if you're actually using him. He does have a passive. When he's attacked, he has a 40% chance to counterattack for 70% of his almost non-existent attack power. This is just an annoyance. He does put out a little bit of damage, not much. He does get a damage and lifesteal increase at right once you get him up to rank 7 or 2 red stars. And weakness insight also helps increase that by 4%, so 40% at max. You'll have an 80% chance then to counterattack once he's at max weakness insight, doing 80% damage and getting some lifesteal, helping keep him alive. And eventually that will go up to level 3 for 90% damage and lifesteal amount, and increased by 6% with the weakness insight. That would then make this a 100% passive when he is fully maxed out. His basic doesn't do much. Again, 85% of attack power. The nice thing about his basic is he's gonna throw out a pretty good debuff, either weaken, slow, or armor break. Weakens essentially damage reduction, as you can see down here. Reduces the attack by 8% and the block rate by 5% against whichever character had attacked him. The big one I like to get on people is slow. Decreases speed by 5%. Slow is so important because this is slowing down their basics, which means they're not generating ultimate energy, which is just screwing up their turn, making them so they die. Armor break is nice though. This really helps you out because 20% less defense and crit resist means your damage dealers are going to do a lot more damage against that character. Unfortunately, it's only to a single character who attacks him, or he attacks her to say. Sorry, I'm getting that mixed up. So there you go. You get up to 95%. This is really he doesn't do damage. Don't worry about this whatsoever. If you want to get to rank 10, you get to rank 10 because you happen to get there, not because you're going after this. And finally, the big thing is ultimate. It is a 3 power 4 turn cooldown ultimate. So once you use it, you're not going to be using it for a while, but It does take 2 turns to take effect, which really makes his kit interesting. He constructs a sniper rifle. He sets it up for 2 turns. He gets a 30% damage reduction. 30% of the damage he takes will be absorbed into the rifle. After 2 turns, he then takes all that damage he absorbed and deals 200% to whoever did the most damage to him. So this is actually what is telling us what he is good for. He is good against single burst characters, such as Batman, for instance, who will put out a ton of damage just single bursting, trying to hit down a tank like him to try to get through the front row. He is essentially anti-Batman. He'll take all that damage, absorb it, get damage reduction, and then deal it back to him. On top of this, once you get him to rank 7, it actually gets a lot better, because now he gets a shield that absorbs 15% of max hit points. You're going to want max hit point gear on him, and probably a defense set on him as well, like a 2-piece defense, 4-piece max, 4-piece hit points, because you'd want this shield to be as big as possible. And he also gets each stack of weakness insight would get 15% more damage to the shot, so that could be another 150%. And because that is equal to the amount of damage he takes, this could actually be quite damaging, and getting level 3 increased to 30%. So that's the basics of him, of how you would handle him, what he's for. He is essentially anti-Batman character, and that's what you would actually use him for. And that's actually what I found out. I figured it out. I was using him in a stage with a very big Batman, and well, he makes quite a difference. He actually helped me take Batman down quite quickly. He absorbed a lot of damage. He was actually quite tanky and was quite good. His affinities right now, we have only one we can unlock. That's Green Lantern John. You can see Green Lantern Jessica, and we need somebody else. We'll have to actually go and look and see if we had those characters previously. We might have in there. So that is pretty much it for Green Lantern John. One other thing I want to point out. Previously, he had a in-character trial. He is nowhere to be seen on this list. But he did have a character trial originally. I'll link to the video in which I actually played that trial before. So I don't know what's going on with Green Lantern John, why he is not getting it. And if you don't know how to recruit him, if you go into the Mother Box right now, there is a limited time for another 5 days. You do get an epic guarantee of most likely of him. Once you do 40, if you have not pulled an epic at all, he is considered an epic character. So that's why he's in the purple tokens, or you can pull with gems. Eventually we'll get the limited champion recruit, which then is usually used for legendaries. That's a whole nother story though. So that's Green Lantern John Stewart, some of the unique things about him, and he is the anti-Batman character. He's not as bad as you thought. He's just kind of middle of the road. Until next time, everybody.